welcome to Lilybug's Library. My name's Linda. Oops, let's try that again. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Lilybug's Library. My name's Linda. Helps to have a microphone, you know? Just a couple of book tags to do today. Now, one I know is called It Isn't That Bad tag, and I found that on Sue Jackson's channel, and she said it came from Melinda at Web of Stories. So I'm gonna do that one, and then the other one, I don't know where it came from, and I don't know what it's called. I wrote down everything about it, except that for some reason. So I apologize to whoever came up with the tag. I'm just going to go with it, and if you'd like to take credit for it, feel free to leave something in the comments below. All right, so the first one, It Isn't That Bad tag. So it says, do you dog ear your books? No. I did used to years ago. I used to dog ear my books. And then I guess as I got older and realized what kind of damage that did to the books, I just quit doing it. And now I make bookmarks as well. So I just, I've got 100 of them around here. So I just use one of those. And then do you annotate your books? So I don't. I've seen people do it and I've thought about it, and some of them make it into like a whole thing. But unless it's something instructional, I don't annotate. If it's maybe a cookbook, I might annotate things on the margins, or if it was I don't know, some book on health, or maybe even poetry if you wanted to remember a certain selection. But in general, no. Do you roll covers or break spines when you read? No, no, it would. I don't know. I just don't. I don't feel the need to. I think it's more comfortable to have the book open without doing any of those things. And do you listen to something while you read? Heck no. I can't walk and chew gum. I'm not about to try to listen to something while I read. Now, the other way around, sometimes if I'm listening to something I'm reading, like an audiobook, I can do like housework and stuff that's mindless and you don't need to think about. But I can't play music or have the TV on or whatever while I read. It just doesn't work. Do you read in the bathroom? No, I scroll my phone like most people. So I actually don't read in the bathroom. With the exception of the tub, I will sometimes read in the tub with my Kindle. And yes, I'm probably taking a chance, but it's worked for me all these years, and I never fall asleep in the tub, so I'm pretty safe. Um, oh, and that was one of the other questions. Do you read in water? So yes, bathtub only. Like I don't have a pool, but even if I did, I don't think I'd read in the pool. I don't know why. I don't, I don't know. It's not something I associate with reading. Do you DNF? So that's did not finish. And do I do that? Yes. Life's too short for literature you don't like. Do you ever read ahead or skip to the end of a book? Very rarely. I won't say I've never done it, but not too often. And normally the only reason that I would ever do it is if the book was bad enough I really didn't care, but good enough that I didn't want to DNF it without knowing what happened. So in that case, I might skim pages and then get to the end and find out what happened. But like I said, very rarely. Um, are you are you book polygamous? So you read more than one book at a time? Oh yeah. Usually I have three or four on the go. I have one that I only read at nighttime, one that I read during the day, and an audiobook, and sometimes a nonfiction book. So I definitely read more than one at a time. And I don't find I get them mixed up unless they're very, very similar. Trying to think of for instance, I read the Chatty Corgi series, and I read the Cozy Corgi series. I cannot read those two series at the same time, or else I'm wondering why the Cozy Corgi is not talking. so, so there's certain things you just can't read together, but in general, yeah, we're good. Let's see. Do you own more books than bookshelf space? Yes, but I solved that problem and got a bigger bookcase. I mean, you do what you gotta do. Um, and certainly not anywhere near what I see on some people's channels. Some people obviously have been doing this a long time too, so I'm sure they're buying maybe more books than they would if they weren't doing a YouTube channel. But um, but yeah, I mean, I've got the books behind me. I've got a small bookcase that holds children's books for the grandchildren, and I've got some instructional books that I have in another bookcase in the bedroom, and those are like on herbal remedies and things like that. Okay, so the other one, the last one for this particular tag is, do you ever take books from a little free library without leaving one? So I've never been to like the ones that actually look like little free libraries. They're, kind of have a little closure to them, and you know what I mean. But we do have a bookcase downstairs in the apartment building where people leave books and take books, and yeah, sometimes I'll take one and didn't leave one, and sometimes I'll leave one and not take one. So it all works out. So that was the "it isn't that bad" tag, and now on to the next one that I don't know what it's called. So oh, I could see that. You ever have one of those days? I had got this ready and put it aside somewhere and was waiting to do the video. And I think somewhere in there, maybe a page got lost because it looks like I'm starting on question number 4. So that's what we're doing. So, what is your favorite book so far this year and your most anticipated read before the end of the year? So, favorite books so far this year. I mean, I've talked about them on different tags that I've done, but there's a lot of them, and there's really there's too many, and I like them all for different reasons. So there's lots of like cozy mysteries that I really enjoyed. That I would say was my favorite in that genre. And then there's some historical fiction that I really enjoyed and some romance. So it just gets too muddled. As for the most anticipated read, it's was what I did a tag before and still is When the World Fell Silent, and that's by Donna Jones Allward, I believe is her name. And haven't I've got it now. It's in my TBR, but haven't read it yet. But looking forward to it. What author do you wish would have finished a manuscript discovered which is authenticated, or which author do you dream about time traveling to gift the world just one more book? Hmm. Um, I mean, there has been so many good authors over the years. I mean, um, in some ways, I wish they would find that Mark Twain could time travel and then write a book about his experiences in this day and age. I think that would probably be really interesting. Agatha Christie, of course, Carolyn Keene, V.C. Andrews. I read a lot of hers when I was a teenager. Her Flowers in the Attic series, things like that. What is a fiction book you recommend most often and why? Fiction book. I don't really tend to recommend, I mean, occasionally I'll recommend books. I mean, obviously on here I do, but like to family and friends that um, usually whatever book I just finished is the one that I'll recommend because that's the one most on my mind. But a lot of times it'll be authors as opposed to books. If someone's asking me about what to read, I'll usually say, well, try this author or try that author, depending on what they like. Um, we have all read books that are super popular and just didn't work for you. Which books and why? Um, so I'm not a fan of Colleen Hoover. So I don't tend, well, I mean, I'm sure she's lovely, but I mean, I'm not a fan of her books. But that would be one. As to why, not big on her plots and her characters. They're just not they're not quite warm and fuzzy enough for me. The other one that I think of is Jodi Picoult. Her books are really good and certainly make you think, but I really like Happy Ever Afters, and she does not do Happy Ever Afters. They're a little too dark for me. And what nonfiction book most intrigues you that you don't yet own? Hmm, maybe Spare because there's been so much buzz about it. Um, Probably a lot of the celebrity ones that I'm curious, but not necessarily curious enough. I'm going to read them, I guess, or at least not anytime soon. But the one that oh my, Matthew Perry, the one that Matthew Perry wrote. I can't remember the name of it. It was like the big dark ugly thing or something that had to do with his addictions and things. So I haven't read that. Can't really think of any other ones off the top of my head, but those are two that I have thought about reading and probably will at some point, but I'm not really in any rush to read them. Um, this or that is a very popular Instagram story trope. So rather than that, describe your favorite reading setup. Um, I mean, if I had unlimited finances, I would love to have a house with a big library, um, old fashioned looking with, you know, cozy lamps and chairs and a Labrador retriever at my feet and, a library, so big lining the walls that you have to have a ladder to get to the top shelf. Um, and a secret door has to have a secret door. Uh, so, those sort of things, but that's definitely the type of library I would want. You know, maybe a nice butler bringing me coffee and snacks, I mean, if we're gonna dream, let's dream big here, right? Vacation time, and somehow your luggage has space for the books you want to read this year on vacation. What are these magical weightless books and why? Well, my luggage always has space. It's called a Kindle. It's like that easy, so I don't have to pick and choose. I just bring the Kindle. It's got everything on it. And yes, sometimes it's nice to have a physical book, but on vacation, I'm perfectly happy just taking that Kindle because then also if it turns out I don't like the book or I'm bored with it or something, I can easily switch to another book instead of thinking, oh, I should have packed more. So that would be it for me. Um, and I'd probably bring a lot of beachy reads too. If I was bringing physical books, it would be here a helicopter. It would be some kind of beachy read with a nice, easy plot. You don't want anything. I don't anyway. Want anything heavy on vacation. And then that is the last of those questions. Now, it's funny because I really want to see the first three questions that I can't find because one of the things I put was a little blurb from a book. And I'm assuming maybe it asked me something about maybe a book I read when I was younger that I really liked. I'm not sure. But the book, I can tell just by the little bit I put on here, the book was Flowers for Algernon. I think that's it. Algernon. Anyway, I remember it being very good as a child. Are you coming up? Okay. All right. Dudley's decided to come up for a minute. Ah, there you go. So that one was really good, but I don't really remember a lot about it. So if I was looking for a reread, that would probably be a good one, just because I remember it being good, but I don't remember a lot of the plot. But I rereads scare me a little bit because there have been times where I remembered a book so fondly. Yes, I did. Um, and then I read it again, and it was like I was in a different place. I was in a different time in my life, and the book really let me down. It was like you read it, and it's like, oh, why did I like this so much? But it was just different. That's all. It's one of those things. So anyway, that's my answer for that. Whether it was a question or not a question. So those are the two reading tags that I decided to do today. And if you have, somebody that you would like, an author you would like to come back, time travel back to this time, or manuscript you would like to have unearthed and find, let me know in the comments because I'm curious as to who you think would be great to come back and write another book. Um, yeah, so that's about it. It is cloudy here today, but hot, and it's supposed to rain, but they've been telling us it's supposed to rain for weeks, and we have had nothing. So right now the lawns are all looking very dry, and I'm sure the fire index is very high. So I really do hope we get the rain today. So fingers crossed that that will happen. And in the meantime, I will go look after my Sookie of a cat and, and cuddle with him for a little bit. My back's hurting today, so hopefully it'll be just a cozy, easy day, and I'll get to the books I've been reading. All right, talk to you soon, friends. Bye bye.